Hello everyone, and welcome to the top secret underground clandestine Gizmo Lab studio, where we are finally busting out another product review for you. And when I say another, I mean it's the second one. Now this video was completed months ago after watching it and just taking it all in. I realized it was real bad, real terrible. So after just, putting this off for a long time. Now I purchased this particular knife back in September of 2021, 9/25/2021 to be exact. And I had had plans to get this video done and get it on YouTube, had aspirations just to get it up there, get the first review video of this cool knife. And things got in the way, got busy, kept putting it off, forgot about it. So I just decided to reshoot it, and hopefully it'll be improved, because the last one was real poor and I don't want to bring the product down with a bad video. So here we go. What you see here is the Turnback Knife Co. or Knife Company. I guess I'm not sure which of the two it is. This is called the V2 razor knife, and it is made out of 6061 aluminum. It is touted as having stainless hardware. To me it looks to be, maybe it's stainless. It looks like an oxide coating or something like that. Maybe it's stainless with oxide, not sure. We have a titanium deep carry pocket clip, and I love myself a titanium clip. Now when I got this knife, I felt that the tension was just a little tight for my liking, and I kind of bent it out just a little here, and I think it's perfect now. No issues with the clip. I think it looks great. It's a handsome design. There's a nice little slot there so you can get to those screws. It's got a nice little ramp under here or on the clip to help it slide into your pocket. And that's great. That's great. Things I like about the knife. Number one, the aesthetics. I think it looks good. Good industrial design. The size is really a bonus for me. Now, a couple of my knives that I have, utility knives, are a little small, which sometimes that's good. Case in point being the Tuck XL. Now the Tuck XL is a great knife. It's one of my favorites. I do find it to be a little compact sometimes for very hardcore use. And by hardcore, I mean cutting up cardboard. It's about as hardcore as I get. So it's harder to hold on to something like this if you're really trying to get in there and just do a big manly cut into some thick cardboard. That being said, the size on this one is a lot more in line with something that you'd get in a smaller to medium sized pocket knife. And for a little size comparison, I've got something here for you. This is a Benchmade 940. A lot of people have those or know what those are. And it's sort of similar in size overall, I would say. Something like that. That's close. But to me, once you deploy the blade on this thing, you can get a nice purchase on that handle and do some real serious cutting with this tool. And that's a good thing. So I'm kind of rambling here because I'm running off script now. But the size is good. The weight is good. With the blade in this one, I came in at 41.80 grams on the Sketchy Dope scale. And it's listed on his website as 40 grams. And his website is turnbackknifeco.com. And Turnback is all one word. Now, when I first did the video, one of my wish list items that I had was a toolless blade change. Because to get the blade out, so I thought you have to remove the hex screw here and get the little slider thing out of there to put a new blade in. Going back to review some information on this knife on his website, I noticed the words tool-less blade changes, and I thought, that's interesting. So I went back, got the knife, and I'll be damned if that little screw there, if you push on the little button, the screw will come out of that little indent that it's in, slide forward like so, allowing you to bend the blade, slide it right out. So kudos to you for working that in, because that makes the knife a hell of a lot more useful for me. And the way it works, if you can't tell, there's a push button here. When you push it in, that screw comes up. You kind of see it here. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but screw comes up out of the little detent hole and it slides along that track and it pops in. There's a hole here in the back and there's a hole up here in the front when it's locked open. So you push in the button, you slide it back, and wait for it. Pops into place there. So it works well. I have two minor complaints about this knife that I'm going to bring up here, but I'll save those for a little bit later. Let me get into some specs real quick here. I'll give you guys the length, width, girth, and what we have. We've got a length with the blade retracted at 3.88 inches. We've got 98.5 millimeters, which some people like millimeters. I get that. Now, blade open, blade out. It shows 5.05 inches long, 128.3 millimeters. And the thickness, 0.28 inches or 7.11 millimeters. The blade is not included. That's a detail to think about. Now I put a DeWalt, I believe it is, carbide, or it's a Stanley carbide blade. I just have a whole bunch of these laying around. And this one was just a partially used one that I threw in here. Now normally I'm a Tajima man, and they are amazing blades. If you haven't seen my other video where I think I raved about these. That is the VREX 2 or the VRB2 blade. They're very thin compared to a normal blade. I would say, well, not very thin, but they're thinner. Extremely sharp. They've got a black coating on the blade. I'll show you there. You can see that. It's not going to focus on that because it's focused on the Turnback Knife Co. Anyhow, very sharp blades compared to normal blades. They don't seem to last as long under heavy use, but this 100 pack was about 25 bucks on eBay. Pretty hard to beat. So if you haven't tried these Tajima blades, do yourself a favor. Treat yourself. All right, so a couple of negatives about this knife, and they're pretty minor, but I would like to mention them for full disclosure. Now this knife was not sponsored, wasn't sent to me for free. I paid for this myself, which at the time of purchase, $9.25. I paid $35.99 and $3.69 shipping. I would have to assume that both of those prices have gone up since then. Here we are about a year later. So the negatives. One of them I noticed during use, which honestly hasn't been a lot, but a little bit of use I did. When I have this blade out and I was doing some very serious manly cutting of some cardboard, the blade popped up and got wedged in right there between the slider and the blade handle. It kind of got off its track a little bit. Now I'm sure that's a detail that, if it's a widespread issue, can be resolved with some careful planning, plotting, scheming, and machining tricks of some kind. But that was something that I noticed. Just jamming into some cardboard, doing some real manly cuts. That just kind of slipped off where it was and got wedged in there a little bit. Not a huge deal, but it's something to mention. Maybe the different kinds of blades would make a difference. And potentially that's why this blade's in here. I can't recall if it was a Tajima blade that did that or one of these blades, but it was something I noticed. Now, the other thing is the texturing on this slider and the button. I think they look fine. Aesthetically, they look pleasing. Now, when I would go to close this knife, I would push the button, try to slide it back, and my finger, of course, it's not going to do it now. My finger would slip off this thing, and I would just kind of be like this, spinning out on this thing, trying to get it back in, to where I would have to reach forward, push in this little ledge here, you can see, and then use that as leverage and slide it back. So these grooves here, while being there, are very subtle. So if a different texturing could be applied there, maybe deeper grooves, or forget what you call that other one. My favorite one. It's, you know, the crosshatch looking texture. This video is marginally better than the first one at this point. The button is almost zero traction on the button there. Looks good though. So that's one thing I would address if possible, is just something a little more grippy right here. Knurling is the word I was looking for. Maybe some knurling, just deeper grooves. I don't know what the solution to that would be. Right now I'm feeling pretty moist, sticky, and I'm able to get a better grip on this button. And who knows, maybe if I actually use the knife, it would break in a little more and slide easier. I don't know. It slides great, smooth, buttery. No problems there. It's just a little bit of more traction on that button would go a long way. This is October 7th, 2022, and on his Instagram page, which is Turnback_knife_co. I just happened to notice today that he's going to have some remaining inventory, or some new inventory of the brass version of this knife, go on sale at 6 p.m. Central Time. Now, I can't imagine there's very many of those, so if you're interested, I would get on his website and get that F5 button ready, because they are probably going to sell out somewhat quickly. This is a look at the Turnback Knife Co. V2 razor knife. I'm going to put it down here next to the Tuck XL. And the Benchmade 940 with custom, well, aftermarket titanium scales from Rock Scale Design. And as a bonus, the old tried and true, trusty, handy ProTech Malibu flipper.